So the next talk is contact with the NEOS team and community. And the speaker is someone who is very switched on. Someone who I got to know through one of the, I would say, first core developers of NEOS, Sebastian Kurfürst. And but I think it is important to him to say that he is not a developer, and but he is doing more strategy and communication, and the thing that impressed me very much about Tobias and his company Sandstorm is that when NEOS split away from the Type 3 community, they said they would handle the financing. As a kind of young company, they said, okay, we will do all the work that is needed to be able to get donations, and then to pay for code sprints and all this sort of work. And I mean, to me it sounds like a lot of administrative work, a lot of work with the lawyer to figure out how to make the contracts and everything, to understand the tax law. And for me to take this on as a young company, where you have many other things to do as well, but they say, no, we are committed to NEOS and we want to help how we can. This really stands out for me. And also, there is also one thing about this event. At one point I wasn't so sure if we can have the event or not, because we didn't have so many registrations, so I sent the email to the speakers and I said, guys, I don't know, just want to let you know, by now we don't have so many registrations. And I think just instant, like I press the send button and I get the phone call. So I said he switched on. And Tobias was there and said, hey, I have lots of ideas, what we could do, and so on. And also via Sandstorm we're going to sponsor the event as well. So yeah, you can see already from the slide, yes, I do. A doer, someone who is switched on. Tobias Gruber, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Hi, so I'm going to spend the next, let's say, 30 some minutes telling you not about code, not about content strategy, but what the NEOS community means for me personally, what I have experienced in the past 2 years, what your entry points might be if you're interested in NEOS and getting in touch with it, either as a developer or any other way. If you would like to be an editor, if you would like to see how open source works, if you want to contribute to an open source project, I'll show you some entry points. And you've heard some people talk today already, and of course talking to those people here at the event is, that's the first big step you can take towards NEOS, because these guys all know what they're talking about. So Dominic already introduced me. I work for Sandstorm. We're based in Germany. We have 2 offices, one in Dresden and one in Darmstadt. Yeah, we don't do a lot of end-user projects with NEOS, but we're more technological supporters. So we help agencies when they have technology trouble, when they really need some deep knowledge of NEOS or Flow or Elasticsearch or something like that. We like to develop architectures that involve NEOS, that involve scalability, performance. That's stuff that we like to do. So enough about myself. Dominic, you asked some questions about who's an editor, who's a developer really here? Who wants to develop with NEOS? Okay, about half the people probably. So the easiest way to get in touch with NEOS is to join an event. And as you probably know, MEET NEOS is a really cool event to do that, because there's people from the core team here who really know about everything technical. So if you have technical questions, they of course also know about using NEOS in practice for editing. So if you're more interested in using NEOS as an editor, you can ask them any questions because they know how the system works. And of course, if you're looking for some support, some help, those guys are really the points to go to, who can help you with your projects and give you a hand. The biggest event we have is NEOS Conference. In the past years that was Inspiring Conference. This year we had the first NEOS Conference. I think that's Robert giving the keynote this year. That was in Hamburg in 31st of March, 1st of April this year, so just over a month ago. It was really great. We had a great single track conference. I think almost everyone from the core team was there. So if you're interested in NEOS, in what's going on, what's the new stuff that's happening, see some really cool best practices, NEOS Conference is always a good place to be. Last year we had the first NEOS bar camp in Hamburg. That was quite nice. I think there were some 30, 40 people there, and well, bar camp, right? You get together, you don't know what the actual topics are going to be, you know what the general topic of the bar camp is. You decide on the topics at the beginning, and then you have the workshops and really get to know the stuff you're interested in. So there will probably be one, if this year or beginning of next year we need to see to get that organized, but that was a really cool event. Also something we did last year in Nuremberg was, we called it a dev camp for developers. So it was quite similar to a bar camp, but really focused on developer topics. So I think it was also a really great day to ask specific questions. We did it combined with a sprint in Nuremberg. So again, there were lots of people from the core team there to answer all sorts of questions. We probably won't have one this year, as we're already in May. But I would really, really like to do one again next year. And I also really like the location in Nuremberg. So keep your eyes open if some announcements come around. So I've mentioned sprints. We changed the name a few months, years ago. We cut out the code at the beginning because typically it's known as a code sprint, right? You meet with a bunch of other developers, and then 1 week you really hack something together. At the end of the week, everybody's really exhausted, but finally you got to put 40 hours or more of work into the product you love, and you get real great hands-on experience. And if you're not a core team member yet, but you're a developer and you join a sprint, it's really the cheapest way to get access to the core developers, to get a hands-on workshop. So if you are interested in developing with NEOS, joining a sprint is really the best thing you can do investment-wise. So now I talked about development, but I said we cut out the code in Code Sprint. And that's why, that's because sprints in the last years also had elements of marketing, of internal organization, how we as a NEOS core team work together, about strategy, what's the next release is going to contain, who's going to be the release manager, which features we're going to focus on, how we organize in terms of the legal entity, something that's ongoing, what we do events-wise, and everything else. So that's why we wanted to cut out the discriminating code part and say sprints, and it's open for everybody. So it would be really cool to see some of you maybe at one of our next sprints, and I'm going to tell you where and when they're going to be a little later. So some impressions from sprints. There once was one in a castle in Denmark, and everybody who was there, it was before my time sadly, said that was really, really, really awesome and we need to do it again. And yeah, really cool stuff. That's a picture from the sprint which we had at the Date 6 office in Frankfurt about 1.5 years ago. When we meet for sprints, it's not only about sitting in front of the computer and doing the coding. We also try to have some fun and do some team stuff. So here we went play laser tag in Dresden, where we hosted a sprint. That was the 2016 edition. But of course, yes, we sit in front of our laptops and develop NEOS and come up with the new NEOS IO website. That was what we were doing there for InspiringCon last year when we relaunched the brand and also the website along with that. But of course, there's also a lot of discussions. So retrospectives, looking at how we are working as a NEOS team, what we want to improve. Talking about technical issues, I think there were some discussions about the React UI and CQRS and event sourcing, and it also is really good to do in person at the sprint. And then that's not just core team members, so everybody who is at a sprint, of course, can join the discussions, can add their thoughts, and really be part of that. So that was Nuremberg last year, just also a really cool location. It's a castle in Nuremberg where they have the youth hostel, and inside it's really modern and awesome. And this was just before a NEOS conference this year. It looks really like they were at the beach, not working, right? So, the surfboards and everything. And we're also really actively trying to increase the diversity in the team. So we've added and actively approached a lot of women to join the team because that really helps and is a lot of fun, and also approaching non-German speakers and non-German people to grow our team. And that really is a lot of fun, as they will tell you. And if you Google for some NEOS sprint experiences, there's always some blog article popping up after a sprint of people saying, hey, it was so cool, I met a really cool open source community. So let's see if that works. Okay, sound. Okay, so what's happening? That's during a retrospective, and so we did an exercise. That involves some snapping and clapping, and that was interesting. And I always learn a lot of new stuff also during one of Gina's retros when she prepared them. The last thing that we did at a recent sprint was called a fishbowl, and that's a technique I've never heard of, but that was really effective at coordinating a discussion of 20 or 25 people, and that's something I learned at a sprint. So then there's feedback like that, which really encourages us. I just met the coolest OS community. Okay, thank you. The Typo 3, that's a little bit older, the tweet, but of course the sentiment is still true, right? We are. It's a lot of fun. In addition to the big events we organize as a NEOS team, of course there's meetups, which are organized independently, and anybody can really start that. So that's a slide I showed about a year ago at the MEET NEOS in Nuremberg, and I was really proud to say, hey, some people have started meetups, and the one in Hamburg, they were first, and they already have 103 people, and wow, just recently one in Munich popped up. And then I went to meetup.com yesterday, and typed in Basel, what do I get? So if you're interested in NEOS and want to meet with the people, I think this is really something you should consider going to. And signing yourself up. And then, as you can see, there's one in Vienna and Berlin, Rhein-Main. So a lot of presence in Germany, of course. I searches around Basel and then goes out. Yeah, but if you want to meet other people interested or working with NEOS, check out the meetups. I don't know. Is someone here who runs the Swiss meetup? You do, Dominique? Stefan? So, yeah, just talk to them and see when they will organize the next one. I think on Twitter is probably a good place to look out for announcements as well. So that were events. Now let's have a look where the community is and where you can get in touch when there's not a Meet NEOS or a meetup happening right now. So Slack has probably been mentioned today. It's a chat, really, so with lots of channels. I checked that yesterday, so we have 63 channels currently about really anything that's going on inside the project. So that Slack is run by the NEOS team, and it's open to everyone. I don't even know how many members we have right now. It's way over 1,000 by now who are signed up in the Slack, and that's the place where you can ask any question directly. So I'm, as you heard already, I'm not a developer. I'm more in the communications, marketing, strategy area. So what are the channels that I work in? So we have communication, community, finances, marketing, UX, website, next release, next sprint. And people like Dominic probably have core NEOS development and React UI and Flow stuff, and there's a specific, there's this channel where you can ask your question, and people in very, very, very most cases are really helpful in pointing you at the right group to ask your question. So even if you, just sign up, you're in the lounge, have no idea where to go, just type your question and someone will point you to the right place if the lounge is not the right place to ask. And that's for really, online talking with people, and that's where all our team communication happens too. So you can have a look what's going on for the NEOS.io website, for example. You can read everything that we write. That's public. That's open. It's open source after all. Then we have Discuss, which is our forum. So this is where all the questions should go that get an answer that could be interesting for everybody, because Slack is really transient knowledge, right? It's a chat that goes by and then it's forgotten. Discuss really is the place for sticky knowledge to go. And again, there's team notes from our meetings, so that's all public and open available. And then there's all kinds of information about releases, announcements, technical questions and answers, and there's usually, I checked it last night at midnight or something, that's my last response is a little ago, but during the day there's always some activity going on. So that's a good place to start looking for technical answers. How we organize internally, the NEOS core team consists of 25 people currently, and we're organized in 3 teams, which act as home bases where we meet on a regular basis, typically weekly, and just find out what the others are working on, what we're working on, if they can help us. So, where am I? Tiger here. So, yeah, we meet every Wednesday with the team and catch up what's going on. If you're really interested in contributing and start, writing, joining the discussions, and we will see that, of course. We will, if you're on Slack and everything, people will notice, and we encourage you to come to code sprints, cut out the code sprints, to work with us. And when we see, hey, you seem to fit into a team, and you have a cool attitude, and it's fun working with you, and then we will probably invite you into a team. So come join us. Of course, it's all voluntary, and hopping. You can join and leave again if you don't have time available or something like that. Because what we do encourage is having a certain amount of time available if you join a team. That makes a lot of sense to have some continuity and really be part of the open source project. You can find that on the website. I took that from neos.io. And you can also find the teams in the Slack. So every team has a Slack channel that's open and you can look into. And of course, anything you don't know where to ask, this is the place to go. Email address. That mailbox is monitored. We do that quite okay-ish. Could take, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days till you get an answer, but you will eventually get an answer to your question. So, what's happening at the moment? What's coming up? What's new? What's hot? What should you know? The Slack channel for the next sprint is obviously the place where the discussions happen, where the doodles show up to find the time. So the one happening next is very, very likely going to happen in Düsseldorf in the July-August timeframe. The doodle is still open, but there's already a focus on a certain date there. So you could just check that out if you're interested. That sprint will probably focus on the React UI, but there's always something else happening as well, if you're not that into front-end or React or anything. And also if you want to get started with something, also a great place. And then we're looking into having a sprint in Vienna. The doodle is also open at the moment in the October-November timeframe, if that's closer to where you live and work. That could be interesting as well. Once we have decided on a time frame, we will also announce that on the website, on Twitter and everything. So that if you're interested and you're following us, you can get that information. NEOS Foundation. I'm not sure how many times I've shown this slide at the MEET NEOS now. And I always say, hey, we're almost there. So again, yesterday I sent the signed sheet to get that off the ground to the lawyer, and hopefully this time it will actually work. So that's something that's kept me very busy in the last month, to get the NEOS community interest company off the ground, and hopefully we will see that soon. If you just recently had a look at NEOS and NEOS.io, you probably noticed that we just released new versions a few weeks ago. NEOS 3.1 and Flow 4.1. There's a blog article which contains the most important changes. Really those were a lot of smaller improvements and fixes that went in, not one single feature after the big changes that came in 3.0. There was really a lot of improvement and making NEOS much more stable. And also the React UI now comes with a dependency, with a def dependency. So if you're working on NEOS, you get that automatically. What is the React UI? I've said that a couple of times now. That's a screenshot from our website where we use it. And you notice it looks exactly the same like the old one, right? Which is the idea. It looks the same, but it is so much faster. Sebastian showed a comparison video in his talk at the NEOS conference where he did both in parallel, and every page load is just so much faster when the UI loads, and there's some nasty things which existed with the current UI are just gone, right? So, for example, our top navigation, which is usually hidden behind the NEOS at the top, with the new React UI, hey, that's suddenly there, and I can use the full website. So, I'm really looking forward to that, getting ready to production. Hopefully, by the end of the year. Let's see how that works. Releases. If you're interested in a release cycle and long-term support versions, that's also from the website. So I think, yeah. Release roadmap, you can find that. So we've just released NEOS 3.1. NEOS 2.3 LTS will still get security fixes until well into 2019. So also from a continuity perspective, we've done a great step forward with NEOS LTS. And the next big LTS version will come at the end of this year. So, and hopefully we will manage to do that. So every 4 months a new release, and so far that's worked out great. I didn't translate that slide. So, looking a little bit more into the future, what's going to happen? I just briefly touched that. NEOS 3.3 LTS at the end of the year, with hopefully a stable React UI. That would be really, really cool. CQRS is a big topic, which is currently kind of going from research mode. So the core team members really understanding what it's about, how the technology works, how it can be applied to NEOS and Flow concept-wise. There is a package already available for Flow, which is used in production by some people, which uses CQRS and event sourcing. So that's the basis really, and that is going to be incorporated into the NEOS core as well. And when that happens, that's going to be a big magic moment. There will be so many features enabled by that technology underlying. I'm really, really looking forward to that, but that's still, a year probably. It's probably going to take still a year to happen. I talked about NEOS conference. We already have a date for next year. So if you're interested in NEOS, go to NEOS.io events and you will find the NEOS conference 2018. It's going to happen 13th, 14th of April next year, again in Hamburg. I checked yesterday, the super early bird tickets are already sold out, and the early bird tickets are currently on sale. So it would be really, really awesome to improve the number of people from last year, of course. So if you're interested, go check that out. It's a great deal at the moment with the early bird tickets still. So we had MEET NEOS there, and there, and there. And then it's starting to fill up nicely, if you ask me. Munich, Basel. So where is next going to be? I put Basel in, right? Okay. There's Hamburg listed. We wanted to do that. Not sure when that's going to happen. It doesn't have a date associated yet. We always announce those on meetneos.com and through our social media, of course. My goal is to extend that beyond Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, and also go maybe Netherlands, Denmark again, some further places to spread the word about NEOS. Okay. So if you're interested in NEOS, and you have not yet taken your first steps, what would they be? Of course, a great place to start is NEOS.io. As you might have guessed from the things I've said already, if you're developing with NEOS, I've already talked about Slack, which is a good, probably the best point to get to talk to someone. You have Discuss to ask questions or search for answers. And of course, documentation is a big thing. So neos.readthedocs.io, also linked on neos.io. And we got a lot of feedback recently that the documentation has improved quite a lot. So in the past versions, we did focus on documentation, keeping that up to date, and also providing examples. So be sure to check the documentation if you're running into any issues. If you want to try out NEOS, we also have a demo link on neos.io. So there is Bitnami, where you can just launch a NEOS instance and check that out, try that. If you're not a developer yourself and know how to set up a NEOS. Midfield is offering a demo as well, and Robert can probably show you a demo on his beach hosting service soon. So he's been working to get that, to publish that. Right. And then in Slack, some guy signed up, and that was in April this year, and wrote this message in our launch channel. So, and he says it's it's amazing, and it's, with every project I do, I like it even more. And this feedback we get from the community, from people we didn't know before, which is really, really cool when they tell us that they like it. And so, of course, it's also cool when people come and tell us why they don't like it, what they're missing feature-wise, what frustrates them, because that's the kind of feedback that we need, of course, to improve NEOS. And as you can see from the reactions, we were really happy about that. I have a small video. It's in German, about an agency or a customer who worked with NEOS. Oh, we don't have. Okay, I'll skip that. You can't hear it. If you're interested, just talk to me afterwards, or look at it online. Yeah, the most important thing is with everything really is try it. Try to get your hands on a NEOS station. There's some expert tables in the other room, I think. So talk to Dominic, Robert, myself to show you NEOS. If you're an editor, of course, that's something, try it out. If you're a developer, again, try it, give it a try, and let us know if something doesn't work. That's very important feedback for us. The first steps should be easy and straightforward and not confront you with a lot of error messages and stuff breaking. And if that is the case, we would like to know, because the core team sets up so many NEOS projects during a month that that process for us is so streamlined. We don't see any error messages anymore. It's just we know how to do everything. I don't, but the others, of course. So give it a try. If you haven't yet seen it, talk to someone from the core team, from the presenters, to show you. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Any encouragement?
Okay, thank you. What's next on the agenda, Dominic?
Yeah, now we have another case study. Okay, while we are preparing, I want to give you already a bit of introduction to the talk. will be a case study about Swisscom Mailer, and it won this award. And we also have a summary of it, so if you want to read more about it after the talk, there will be some of these sheets outside. Yeah, and I'm very excited about the talk because here we have a speaker who is a user, is using NEOS and Flow on an everyday basis. And so someone who can give you some insight about just how it is to use NEOS just as an editor, as a user. And I think we didn't hear that voice so much today, so I'm really excited that we have it now. And I also want to tell you that we have a real pro here of event organization. She's looking very young, but she's really a pro, because did you know that they can check in 100 people in 1 minute for an event? So you have to be really good at it. And they need various tools for their events, and they're professionals. For them, time matters, performance matters, just that it's usable. And we from Web Essentials, we're very privileged to work with them and also to learn from them how they manage their events, and we try to support them with Flow and NEOS technology. Maybe you've seen like the sign up that you did for this conference was also a Flow application. Maybe you didn't know, but it is. There is a second case study that you can take, and you can see what are all the different things that we can do with this event management system. But now I just want to hand over to Nicole Wyler for the presentation.
Ja, es wird wieder Deutsch. Ich hoffe, das ist okay. Vielleicht zuerst zu mir. Ich arbeite seit 4 Jahren bei der Swisscom, habe dort meine Lehre gemacht und konnte jetzt ein Jahr noch weiter dort arbeiten. Ich habe das KV gemacht, also eigentlich gar nicht in diese Richtung mit IT oder Informatik, aber es ist sehr spannend und ich konnte auch sehr viel davon lernen. Ich möchte euch gerne den KIME Mailer vorstellen. Wir brauchen den für ganz viele verschiedene Newsletter und Mailgeschichten, die wir über den NEOS-basierenden Mailer versenden können. Vielleicht um ganz von vorne zu beginnen, mit dem Mailer können wir vor allem Newsletter versenden. Wir können aber auch zum Beispiel Tickets oder Einladungen, was auch sehr häufig genutzt wird, verschicken, und das in der gesamten Swisscom. Das ist auch das Ziel. Genau. Gestartet hat das Ganze eigentlich nur mit einem Test, also es war noch ganz am Anfang, es war eigentlich kein fertiges Produkt, und das hat das Ganze auch sehr spannend gemacht. Also wir haben eigentlich mit etwas gearbeitet, was noch nicht so viel konnte oder vielleicht noch hier und da eine Macke hatte, aber genau durch das, dass wir von Anfang an mit den Kunden zusammengearbeitet haben, mit unseren internen Mitarbeitern, und sie uns Feedback geben konnten, konnten wir auch auf diese Personen weiterentwickeln und das System auf sie abstimmen. Genau. Ganz als erstes, das war der erste Newsletter, war im November 2015, den wir versendet haben. Das war einer von diesen Move-Newslettern. Damals war es eigentlich angedacht, dass wir es nur für eine einzige Abteilung brauchen, und zwar für unsere Kommunikation. Und zwar für einen Newsletter, der an etwa 150 Personen geht, was nicht so viel ist, aber es hat dann durch die Weiterentwicklung, die wir vorgenommen haben, sehr an Nachfrage zugenommen und dadurch konnten wir uns immer wieder steigern und weiterentwickeln. Und jetzt ist es spannend, zurzeit haben wir 11 Abteilungen, also wir haben 10 mehr. Es klingt nicht nach viel, aber man muss wissen, bei uns ist eine Abteilung ziemlich groß. Das heißt, wir haben eine Abteilung, hat ganz viele verschiedene Teams. Und ich setze auf der Seite bei dieser Baumstruktur die verschiedenen Teams. Und davon werden 21 Newsletter aktiv genutzt. Das heißt, zum Beispiel wöchentlich gibt es viele, es gibt monatlich oder quartalsweise, das ist unterschiedlich. Man kann natürlich auch sporadisch ein Newsletter senden, wenn man einfach eine Info mitteilen will und das nicht regelmäßig tut. Wir haben 44 Benutzerprofile auf dem Tool zurzeit. Natürlich dann auch noch die Entwickler von Web Essential und wir, aber aktiv sind es 44 Profile, die das nutzen. Wöchentlich gehen 1 bis 3 Newsletter raus, also einer mindestens und manchmal 3, manchmal 4 in der Woche. Das klingt auch noch nicht so nach viel, aber man muss wissen, dass es pro Tag, pro E-Mail-Adresse 10.000 E-Mails versendet werden können. Das heißt, wenn es wirklich Swisscom weit eine Information ist, zum Beispiel eine Umfrage oder etwas Ähnliches, können wirklich pro Tag, pro E-Mail-Adresse 10.000 Mails versendet werden. Genau. Durch das, dass wir eigentlich so viel weiterentwickeln konnten in diesen 1,5 Jahren, kann man jetzt im Gegensatz zum Anfang von einem flexiblen und wirklich umfangreichen Tool sprechen. Und es wird auch stetig noch weiterentwickelt. Also, das ist noch lange kein Endprodukt in dem Sinne. Ich persönlich schule auch wöchentlich immer noch Personen, also neue User, die auf dem KIME Mailer ihre Newsletter versenden wollen. Also wir sind immer noch nicht ganz ausgebreitet, das kommt alles noch. Und es macht es auch immer wieder spannend, neue Leute, die neue Erwartungen ans Tool haben, zu treffen, weil wir durch das auch wieder weiterentwickeln können. Genau. Zurzeit ist eine wichtige Phase, steht eine große Phase der Weiterentwicklung an. Wir haben verschiedene Ziele. Ein Ziel ist es einfach die Benutzerfreundlichkeit, dass unsere User, unsere Kunden eigentlich ihre Newsletter selbstständig verschicken können. Das heißt, momentan bin es noch ich, die das vor allem machen muss oder darf. Und eine große Steigerung wird dann sein, dass die User die Verteilerlisten zum Beispiel selber hochladen können und somit auch von A bis Z selber den Newsletter versenden können. Genau. Oder zum Beispiel, was auch ansteht, ist eine terminierte Versendung, dass ich mit einem Kalender sagen kann, diese Zeit, dieser Tag möchte ich den Newsletter versenden. Genau. Vielleicht gerade zu den Funktionalitäten. Wie bereits gesagt, Newsletter, Massenversand ist eigentlich die Hauptnutzung. Man könnte auch einzelne Mails versenden, aber das geschieht noch über Outlook selber bei uns. Es werden Einladungen, auch Umfragen und eben Tickets mit Hilfe von Barcodes. Man kann Barcodes ins Mail integrieren, können wir also auch Tickets versenden. Ihr seht vielleicht hier unten, klar die Platzhalter, die wir auch oft nutzen, was uns auch eine große Hilfe ist, indem wir in der Verteilerliste hinterlegen, welche Informationen wir mitgeben möchten und dadurch personalisieren können. Das ermöglicht uns eben auch zum Beispiel Gutscheincodes oder Passwörter zu hinterlegen und für jeden das persönliche, das ist nicht gut, für jeden das persönliche Mail zu generieren. Genau. Vom Look and Feel ist es eigentlich bei uns, muss es standardmäßig immer gleich daherkommen. Deshalb haben wir einfach unsere Grundstruktur, unser Template, auf dem wir die Kunden ihren Newsletter aufbauen können. Früher war es noch ziemlich chaotisch, also wir hatten viele, die einfach irgendwie irgendwo einen Newsletter zusammengebastelt haben, was natürlich dann ja, in einer riesigen Firma, wo es so viele verschiedene Newsletter gibt, irgendwie nicht mehr so ganz in Ordnung ist. Also man hat auch nicht erkannt, ob es wirklich ein Newsletter, ein offizieller Newsletter war oder nicht. Und so haben wir eigentlich eine gute Lösung, die wir auch wirklich für die ganze Firma einsetzen möchten. Genau. Vom Erstellen her, für die Benutzer ist es, also für mich, ist es sehr einfach aufgebaut. Wir arbeiten uns immer von links nach rechts. Wir haben dort die Baumstruktur, wo ich jetzt natürlich alles sehen kann. Die einzelnen Kunden können natürlich nur ihre Abteilung sehen. Wir haben in der Mitte das Bearbeitungsfeld und ganz rechts können wir den Newsletter versenden. Das ist eigentlich auch zum Schulen für mich sehr praktisch. Eine Schulung geht ungefähr eine halbe Stunde, dreiviertel Stunde. Und dann sind Sie bereits fähig, einen eigenen Newsletter zu senden. Genau. Was für uns auch ein riesiger Schritt war, ist die Mehrsprachigkeit. Das hat sehr viel für uns in der Schweiz klar, sehr viel Hilfe war das. Man kann den Newsletter einfach einsprachig erstellen in Deutsch und es macht automatisch eine Kopie in den anderen Sprachen, wo man nur noch den Text austauschen kann. Also ich kann hier oben die Sprache wechseln und habe dann 1:1 die Bilder und alle Elemente, die ich erstellt habe, auch in den anderen Sprachen. Früher war es ja immer so, dass wir eine Mail gekriegt haben und untereinander waren immer die verschiedenen Sprachen. Wenn es dumm gelaufen ist, 4 Sprachen oder 5 Sprachen untereinander aufgelistet und so kriegt jeder wirklich nur noch diese Sprache, die er auch versteht. Genau. Man kann zum Beispiel neu auch Excel hochladen und nicht mehr CSV, was mein Leben auch einfacher machte. Und ja, sonst hat es auch sehr viele Entwicklungen gegeben. Wir sind auch sehr froh, haben wir Dominiks Team immer hinter uns und haben wir Web Essential, die uns dort tatkräftig unterstützen. Wir haben auch das System, dass wir ihnen Tickets eröffnen können, wenn was nicht geht. Also wirklich entwickeln muss ich nichts, aber bin natürlich auch immer dabei und weiß, was los ist. Genau. Habt ihr Fragen zu dem? Vielleicht?
Ja, können die Leute darauf Einfluss nehmen, ob sie den Newsletter kriegen oder nicht? Also,
ja, gute Frage. Ja, das können sie. Also es gibt die Funktion, kann ich kurz zeigen. Hier unten können Sie sich auch abmelden, wenn Sie den Newsletter kriegen. Es gibt eine Unsubscribe-List im Hintergrund, wo alle Personen, die dort draufklicken, sich automatisch dort eintragen und die erhalten dann den Newsletter nicht noch einmal. Also es ist eigentlich wirklich alles, was wir brauchen, ist bis jetzt hinterlegt. Ja? Ja?
Was war der Grund für die Eigenentwicklung und nicht die Nutzung einer etablierten Lösung?
Also, als es noch ganz am Anfang war, war ich noch nicht dort, also ich konnte da noch nicht viel mitentscheiden, aber ich denke, es ist halt für uns als riesige Firma, wir haben ja, spezielle Anforderungen, wir wissen, was unsere Kunden brauchen oder merken es dann, wenn sie es brauchen. Und für uns ist es halt auch spannend, wenn wir selber entscheiden können, was möchten wir entwickeln und wie. Und was vielleicht für uns Priorität hat. Also wir haben auch das KIME-Tool, wo wir 11 Frontends haben. Das haben wir ja auch von Grund auf. Eigentlich ist es auch kein fertiges Produkt in dem Sinn. Wir haben auch Weiterentwicklung immer selber mitbestimmen. Und dort kann man halt dann viel spezifischer auf die eigenen Bedürfnisse eingehen, als wenn man ein fertiges Produkt hat.